Alright guys, this is our 1 year review. So we're going to talk about how our boat is acting while on the water. We'll kind of show you the normal wear and tear on it versus, the trailer, the boat itself, and kind of go over everything, how we fish and how it's been acting over that year. Kind of hopefully answer some questions for you guys. Now we'll start at the front. There's a few things I don't, this is one of the things I kind of don't like. It's not an issue. It's not it doesn't eat into the boat. It doesn't cause any structural damage, but Mako, I wish they would have put something different. The way you have to roll that up under this lip, up on top of these rollers, you get some black scuffs. Again, you can take those off. You can wipe it off with a magic eraser or something like that, and it gets it off. Not a big deal, just that's one of the things that drive me crazy. Now, coming down the boat, we've done a lot of fishing over the little over a year we had it. We got it in May of last year, so like I said, it's a little bit over a year. Everything's going fine. The trailer, normal wear and tear, no rust on the trailer, okay, no issues at all. The boat right here, you can kind of see, we're going to get in the boat as well and kind of show you how it looks. Your grab rail here on your center console, no rust on it whatsoever. Everything's, looks good on it. Everything, we've been on some pretty choppy water. Everybody over here holding the rails. This thing is still solid. Nothing's getting loose. Nothing's trying to, no screws back out or anything like that. Okay, coming down, the cleats are all still good and tight. Okay, I'll show you this addition here in a minute, what we did. If you've been watching our channel, you probably know what this is. The little handle back here for stepping in and out of the boat if you wade fishing or if you're pulling somebody. This thing right here, like I said from the very beginning, I actually took it off. I put some corrosion XHD in here, screwed it back down, and that really helps with keeping that rust from bleeding out onto the white boat top. Okay, this right here is just a real thick plastic. It's in good condition. Again, we never use it, so we don't even know if it, what it will stand up to. But we, like I said, nothing's fading, nothing's rotten, nothing's cracking, as far as that step goes. Your little tabs back here for strapping your stern down or for pulling skiers, everything looks great. I do not use that as much as some people do. We just drive right down the street to where we launch, so I'm not driving a lot through town and a whole lot of bumps for this thing to move around. Now, I have fished a couple times where I've had to drive about 25 miles. I'll go ahead and put these down, and everybody knows what it's for. Keeps your stern from bouncing up and down as you're traveling. Okay, it's a little safety device. The motor, we've got almost, I think, 33 hours on it. I changed it at 20 hours myself. I called the place we bought it from. They said this is coming from them, that I didn't need to bring it in on 20. It was recommended, not required. 100 hours is required. Okay, I changed it at 20 hours. This thing's been running great. Okay, the fuel efficiency on this thing is awesome. Okay, they give you a 6-gallon tank with this thing, and you can go a long ways with 6 gallons. You really can. We'll talk about that in a few minutes too. But the motor's had no issues. I'll show you the motor here. It's nice, it's clean. I spray it with the Bow Shield T7 I told you guys about. It's about $14 a can, but it's worth the investment. Get that, spray everything down. It's safe on electronics. You spray all that down, it keeps it in great condition. It keeps the corrosion and the rust away from all your motors, all your electronics. Growing up, all we had was your old school Johnsons and Evinrudes, and there wasn't a whole lot of wires. Now that it's just a big computer in there, so you want to protect it. Now, you guys have seen me talk about my steering tube. Now, I had this probably about 8 months before this dried out and made it kind of hard to steer. I'll tell you this, it doesn't come from the factory really slam packed with a whole lot of grease. Okay, I wish they'd put a little bit more in there, but they ain't no big deal. Again, not a deal breaker to me. You unscrew this black tab right here, pull that off. There's an O-ring that stays in here. You replace that O-ring maybe once or twice a year, kind of depending on how much you use the boat. You unscrew that, take this off right here. Okay, just it's real simple to figure out. Disconnect all this. You can pull that tube out that way, or pull that steering gear out that way. shove some more grease in there, spray some lubricant, let the lubricant and the grease mix together. You know, it makes a real good, kind of like I call it a slime, I guess you'd call it, but that O-ring keeps that in there. So as you steer, it doesn't let that stuff drip out. And that'll help your steering out a whole bunch. Probably the worst thing I had in this year and a half was, like I said, after about 8 months of owning it, the steering was getting real tight and I couldn't figure out why. And brain dead moment, I came back here and took that apart, and sure enough, it was real dry. The grease that was in there was just, you know, just real dry and matted, so I had to, you know, do what I said, clean it out, put some new grease in there and lubricant. She works like a champ. Okay. Some of the things I want to talk about as well. Step a lot on these fenders. Okay, yes, these are a plastic fender, but they're tough. Okay, I'm a big old boy. I'm 270 pounds, and they have no give. Okay, does a real good job of pretty much giving you what you pay for. Okay, they give you a solid boat, they give you a solid trailer, they give you a solid engine, console, all that stuff. What else that's really impressed me is, you know, all these hinges, they're stainless steel hinges. Okay, nothing special about them. But a lot of you guys know, living on the salt water, these stainless steel hinges, what will tend to happen, they may look great on the outside, but you know, on the pins they get rusted, and when you try to open it, they either lock up on you or they pop, or you'll even wind up snapping that pin. Again, it's only been a year and a half. We've had no issues whatsoever. The best part of this boat, the part I love the most about this boat, is the storage. You know, when we come fishing, we usually bring 2 or 3 people, sometimes 4 people. Everybody likes to fish, we like to drift, we like to turn the boat sideways, and so we need the room. Now this big compartment, we throw everything we need to in there. We've been out in some rough rains with this gasket they put around. No water gets in here. I'm telling you right now, no water gets in here. Like I said in one of my other videos, if I'm spraying a pressure washer or hard pressured water somewhere right at these seams, water can get up underneath it a little bit, but other than that, it will not. I promise you, especially if you shut it, turn your locks, it just really seats it down good. Now the thing I like, you know, like I said, I'm a big old boy, 270 pounds, you know. My son, he's 14, he's 220, he's a big old football star. We both get up here in the same spot, and you can film right here. There's no give, okay? Okay, when I stand right here, I mean, this thing is solid. Solid, okay? So that's one of the great things about this boat. It's nothing but a big compartment, and it's solid to stand on. You don't have to worry. We've talked about this front compartment. I won't beat a dead horse. If you've watched any of my other videos, it's never worked right. I did some modifications to it. We'll just kind of leave it at that. It's not a big deal. But this center console is a solid plastic, okay? You know, it's got the, I call them oh crap bars. You know, you're holding on to those when you're traveling. This whole thing is solid. You know, like I did out there. We've been on here. See, they'll flex, but this thing will not give, okay? And we've had everybody grabbing onto this on some rough water, and this center console is secured down very well, okay? Nothing's trying to come loose. I will tell you, the boat, it is a skiff, okay? It's a squared front end boat. If it gets a little choppy, you'll get a little splash, but you don't get soaking wet. It's pretty dry boat running, okay? This isn't a boat you want to take out, in my opinion. I'm not from Florida. I'm not from these other places where they take it offshore and go fishing. I can tell you in some of the bays that we fish in, the bays are, they're very unforgiving, okay? They're not very deep bays, but they can get some big swells. You can find yourself in a bind. So my opinion of this boat, it's a back bay boat, okay? It's an inshore fishing boat. Moving on over here to the steering, you guys can see, you know, one finger, just, I mean, you grease that thing up, she works great. All the electronics, all the time that we've had it, we've never had any issues. Like I've told you in the past videos, I crawled up underneath there and I sprayed that all with some, it was the Corrosion X, but it wasn't the Extreme, it was the Corrosion X, okay? And the bow shield, sprayed on the back of all the plugs, all the wiring harnesses, everything that connected to keep all the corrosion and rust off. And this year, we've had no issues. Again, nothing wrong with the switches. Everything's worked great. Tilt tilt trim, you know, everything from your controls, your lights, you know what I mean? I mean, everything works great. There you go. Honk back at you. The Baitwell in the back has been awesome. It works great. We use it sometimes. A little tip, they come with these little plugs. Stick with these plugs, or this style, this depth anyway, because if you try to put a longer plug in there, the screw type that swells up and makes a seal, that drain is very short. It comes down in 90s out. If you try to put a longer plug, all it does, it'll push itself out. Okay, so if you try to keep that dry, or you're trying not to drain anything, you know, if those pop out, you'll lose what's in there. These plugs work great. You stick them in there, they work just as good. Okay, they work like they're supposed to. Something that I brag about a lot is Mercury. Okay, with the Mako, everything on there, from all their controls here, I've had no issues with anything. Nothing locks up, nothing's got rusted, you know, not a whole lot of stuff in there to rust. You see this, what I did was I put an inline fuel filter. It's a glass filter. So what I did was I put this, it's an old it's a piece of hose that I put around that filter to keep the sun off it, keep the fuel from tarnishing and messing up the glass filter. I haven't put a whole lot of extras on here. I have a Garmin depth finder, GPS / fish finder. I never did put the transducer on here. I never bought it for that. I just wanted to have something I could mark a reef when we catch some fish, see my speed. I've kind of wanted to run the depth finder on it, but you know, I know how deep the waters where we fish. I've been fishing there my whole life, so it's not something I needed. You guys seen in my other videos, you see this is a power stick. Now, for any of you guys who do any YouTubing, or you just like to self-film any of yourselves fishing, this thing right here is pretty cool. Okay, you simply just plug it into your boat lights, your navigation lights, and what it does, it can actually extend. You know, it can go down. You can put it wherever you want to, and when you plug it in, you simply just cut your lights on, your power, and you have 2 charging ports right here. Okay, so you can put your GoPro on top of here with its charger. If you got another attachment for another GoPro or what other kind of action cam you use, I use the cam part. You plug it into here, and you have 2 ports there to always keep your cameras charged, so it kind of keeps your mind at ease. Okay. Again, we have the world famous poor man power pole I've talked to you guys about. I've had this for a year as well. Got this at Granger. I think I paid $75 for it. It's 10 feet long. It's an inch thick, inch diameter, I mean. And it's got a tensile breaking strength of 100,000 pounds. This is what they actually put in concrete now instead of rebar. You know, it's stronger, it's lighter, it won't rust away like rebar. So, and this is exactly the same kind of pole that they put in power poles. It's just bigger. Power poles aren't as thick. It's the same thing. It's even stronger. Okay, we'll set the anchor out. We'll let it swing over. We'll put this to one side, or if the wind's too strong, we'll set the anchor out, let the boat turn with the wind. Put this in the back, tie it off. 4-man power pole. You guys need to get you one. Go to Granger. Okay, 1 inch diameter, 10 foot long. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. There's our 1-year review of our Mako Pro 17 skiff. Way more pros and cons. The few things that I don't like is just stuff that I'm kind of OCD about. Not a deal breaker. It is in fact no reason for anybody to not even consider buying one of these boats. I recommend Mako all the way. As you heard me say before, I used to have a 18 LTS, loved it, sold it. We got to hunting so much it just set, and the worst thing you can do to a boat is let it sit. So it broke my heart to get rid of it, but we did. Anyway, we come back with this one. Nothing but success with it. I think we're going to have plenty of years to come with it. One of the few things that I see people complain a lot about is the fuel capacity. Okay, yes, it comes with one 6-gallon tank. You can buy another 6-gallon tank, or you could buy one 12-gallon tank. I like having 2 6-gallon tanks because I can, if I need to take a tank out at home all the time, I'm always cutting grass, I can take one of the tanks out, need a little fuel, I can take it out, pour it in the mower, and go on. So I like it that way. You know, I like being able to take the tanks out, clean them out every now and then if they get moisture in them, which happens a lot. We have a built-in tank. It's a pain to try to get the moisture out. Okay, you got to keep them full of fuel all the time. If not, they get moisture, and you guys know What happens when you get moisture in fuel? It's not a good thing. Guys, well, hey, it's hot out here. I need to get inside. Every chance you get, wet a line, let an arrow fly, or put some rounds down range. My name's Tyron Smith. This is H.A.B. Outdoors. We'll see you next time.